Hello, let's talk about conic sections. With conic sections, you have different types of conic sections. One type of conic section is the parabola that we're going to talk about, and we'll discuss this one first. Another one is an ellipse, a hyperbola, and a circle. Basically, these are derived from looking at a conic, which is like this cone-shaped figure, and taking a plane and basically kind of like cutting that plane. And you're going to come up with these different shapes. And we're going to look at the properties from these particular shapes. With a parabola, you have what is called a directrix. And I'll explain this in a minute. And it's really all about looking at the patterns. And you have what's called a focus. There are some practical applications that go along with this. A satellite dish. Many of you have DirecTV or different cable mediums. Well, your satellite dish is basically a parabola. It's in the shape of a parabola, and that's the little symbol, the little part that sends off the signal. Well, that's at the focus, and we'll talk about this in a minute. Let's actually look at a parabola. Here, this is x, y, and let's look at a parabola with a vertex of 0, 0. Okay. A focus is going to be the distance from, well, the focus is going to be a certain distance from the center to the focus, and your directrix is going to be that same distance from that vertex to the directrix. Okay, we got to find that distance. Well, here's the general equation for this type of parabola. It's x squared equals 4py. Well, this is just the general form of equation for a parabola, and p represents your distance from the vertex to the focus. Okay. For example, if I were to give you the equation x squared equals 8y. Well, in this case, p is 2. Well, how do I know that? I could take 8 and set it equal to 4p and just say 4 times what is 8? Well, that's 2. You could do this, write out a little equation and solve it. 4p equals 8. Divide by 4 on each side. P is equal to 2. So with this type of problem, and you got to just remember this, if it's an x squared term, your parabola is going to be either going up or it's going to be going down. If your p is a positive value, it's going to be a parabola going up. If your p is a negative value, when you do your calculations, it's going to be a parabola going down. And if it's in this form, the vertex is always 0, 0. So for this particular one, your p is 2, so I'm going to go 2 here from 0, 0 to 2. So in this case, my focus is 0, 2. Your directrix, you're going to go 2 down. So I'm going to go down 2, so it's going to be a line. And my line is actually y equals the equation y equals -2. What does all this mean? If I choose any point, any arbitrary point on this parabola, the distance from the focus to that point and the distance from that point to the directrix is always the same if I move it any place on this particular graph. That's really the whole point. But this is the generic equation, or the general form of the equation for writing out drawing a parabola with directrix and focus. They may give you some information. You may have to go backwards. They may give you the parabola, and you have to go backwards to find the actual equation. It just depends. Let's look at the same type problem, but this time we're going to go left to right on the next example. This is conic section part 1. Let's go on to part 2.